Hello everybody. I'm assuming you want to shift to Hogwarts since you clicked on this video. And honestly, I don't blame you. Today we are going to be trying a new method. I want you to follow my instructions carefully. And at the very end, you shall rest, or in whichever point your mind leads off to your desired reality. You may fall asleep or drift away at any point in this video. The goal today is to get you to your desired reality. I'm not quite sure what to call this method yet, but for now, we shall call it the Draco method, because therefore he is going to be helping you shift. In this new method, you shall lay in the starfish position in your bed, a lot like the Raven method. When laying that way, make sure none of your limbs touch each other, and that you are not too hot or too cold. Make sure any priorities have been taken care of. And if they haven't, imagine them as if they have. Clear your mind. It may be hard, but think of an empty white room. I want you to lay back in that starfish position and keep your eyes open. Let them wander to the ceiling above you, above your bed, above you, above your blankets, your pillows, your bed frame, the floor. Look at your ceiling. Look at one particular spot. Find a spot directly above you and stare at it. And imagine that spot, the color of that spot, as a blank piece of paper. Look at that piece of paper and rip it in half. While you imagine this, keep your eyes open. Rip your colored paper in half. Each half morphs into pillows. Slowly you see their soft, elegant edges. The pillows drift down and they float under your head. Notice how soft your pillow is. Is it square, circle? Does it have a cover on it or no? What's it made out of? Ask these questions before shutting your eyes. Now that you are focused on your pillow, try and imagine that empty room, the same color as your pillows that floated down the half-ripped paper, that spot on your ceiling. Imagine the room as blank, where there are no worries. Nothing can happen to you. You are safe. Now that your mind is clear, listen to my words, and only my words, till I tell you to do otherwise. Take a deep breath in to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold for 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathe out at a comfortable pace. Again, repeat. Breathe in to 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathe out at a comfortable pace. Continue this while I talk for the next few minutes, giving you your next instructions. In your empty room, you can feel your body, not like hands-on, but you feel the relaxation throughout your body. As you breathe, you feel the air around you. Is it warm? Is it hot? Is it cold? Or is it just right? You feel it come in through your nose or your mouth. Come out through your nose or your mouth. Your eyes wander around this plain room. There's nothing in it. It's just an empty space. Feel your head sink into your pillow. You yawn as your body seems to be falling, sinking, if you will. It sinks downward, 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 pulling on your body as if the bed sheets under you are trying to eat you. You feel the crisp air on your toes. It's relaxing. You feel safe. You hear a voice beside you, my voice. It reminds you of when you were a kid, where someone read a story to you. And if nobody read a story to you when you were a kid, it's all you ever dreamed about. You imagine yourself as young. Your hair is probably shorter, lighter maybe. Color were your eyes? Did you have clear skin? How old are you when you were imagining this? Are you imagining yourself as a baby, a 9-year-old, or even a 13-year-old? What do you look like? Do you have freckles, blue eyes, brown eyes, green or hazel eyes? Do you have dark, furry eyebrows, bushy if you will? Or are they thin and petite? Or barely holding on for dear life? However you imagine yourself, you are a child. I sit beside you. How do you imagine me? You are now sitting on a sofa, laying down with your head on the armrest. It's very soft. It's the same color as that piece of paper you ripped in half, the pillows that floated down to you, and that speck that you saw and seeked on your ceiling. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. You feel the air going through your lungs. You watch as I slowly open the book. I will start the story. Now, I want you to stop taking deep breaths and slowly transition into a more comfortable rate on how you breathe normally. Before I start the story, I want you to imagine things in clear detail as if you were there. I will be very descriptive. You are going to follow as I say, and to let your consciousness bring you to your desired reality the rest of the way. You breathe in and exhale as you step through King's Cross Station. You're nervous because you have never been there. Your parents always had joked about magic and fairies and wizards and witches, even vampires and werewolves, but you had never thought that they were ever going to be real until you got that letter. You were 16, and you didn't know that it was real. Your parents had been hiding the letter for the past few years. You didn't know that you were receiving them. They thought they were scams, till one day you decided you would take part in this magical school known as Hogwarts. You walk through King's Cross Station with your owl on your shoulder. He prefers to be out of his cage, but you will have to put him in it when you get on the bus. You imagine a big yellow school bus, ones that you've seen in the US, but you're in the UK. You imagined the bus was flying through the air. But no, that wouldn't be possible. You're in King's Cross Station. That's for trains, you think. You shake off the thought of the magical school bus, and you walk through with your cartridges, looking for a platform 9 3/4. You walk right in between 9 and 10. There's a pillar in between with no sign. There is no platform 9 3/4, you think to yourself. You look around at the stony pillars, see every groove in between each stone in fine detail. You trace your fingers along the stones on platform 9. Just then, a tall man with a captain's hat walks over to you. "Are you lost, dearie?" he asks. You look up at him, his gray hair and twisted beard. His brown eyes shimmer down at you, but his face is stern. He almost doesn't like that you look lost. I was looking for platform 9 3/4, sir. Do you know where it is? I am a bit lost, you say, very nervously. If only your parents had come with you. He laughs at you, at your face, and grabs his hat off his head and tips it downward. "Well, if you're looking for a platform 9 3/4, I suggest you go home. There is no such thing. We have 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14, and so on. We don't have any fractions of a platform here. Honestly, it's foolish of you to come walking around these parts looking for a platform 9 3/4. You embarrassedly tuck your head down as he laughs and walks away. You're not sure what to do anymore. What if it was a scam and your parents had spent all this money on this fake magic? But no, the magic had to be real. You were there. You saw the wand waving of other students getting their wand. You had got your wand. It was perfect. You saw the magic happen. That couldn't happen without magic, you thought. You look around and you see a tall boy with a pale skin. His hair swooshed to the side partly. It was almost white, platinum blonde. His eyes meet with yours. They're icy, gray as stone, but with blue tints, like the ice you see during the winter. He furrows his brows at you, and then looks at your cart. He sees that you have all these magical items, only things that you would think a person out of a movie would have. You almost got embarrassed. What if he thinks I'm crazy? But then you notice two tall, blonde people behind him. Those must be his parents. His mother is pushing his cart. It has almost all the same things as you. Confused, you look at his cart and back at him. Maybe there was magic. The mother notices your cart too and she calls you over. You slowly turn your cart around and push it towards her. "Oh dear, are you looking for platform 9 3/4? She asks. You say, yeah. Do you know where it is?" She calmly laughs. "Yes, dear, just follow me. Is it your first time? Your trolley seems to have a lot of new things in it." And you laugh nervously. Look up at her. "Yeah, my parents thought the whole magic thing was a scam for the past 5 years. She laughed even more, although the boy's father seemed to give you a scowling look, as did he. You shake it off, as the mother seems very delightful to see you. She says, "Dearie, just follow as I do. See that pillar in between platform 9 and platform 10? If you simply run through it, it gets you there. You know, the whole magic thing. Here, watch my son do it." She hands the boy his trolley as he runs through the wall, not making a commotion. Nobody saw him. Thank you," you reply. She laughs more. She just seems very joyful. "I'm Narcissa Malfoy," she says, sticking out her hand. You nervously and quickly stick out your hand to shake hers. She gives you a delightful smile and looks towards the pillar again. "That was my son. His name's Draco Malfoy. You know, Sailor Malfoy. Maybe you two will get along. Have fun. Hopefully you stay safe. There seems to be a bit of trouble, you know, every year at Hogwarts. It's crazy. You'll understand once you get there. Please be safe. And just run through the wall. It'll get you there, I promise." It seemed very sketchy, but you trusted her, as her son did go first and actually made it. "You better hurry. The gate closes right at 11, and the train leaves." I looked up at the time. The clock read 10:55. That meant you had 5 minutes to get on that train. You ran hurriedly through the wall, expecting to run right into it and crash. But surely when you open your eyes, you're at a whole new platform. Instead of a magical flying bus, you see a train. Written on it is Hogwarts Express. You sigh in relief and slowly board the train. You look around, and none of the compartments seem to be open but one, with the boy in it. He gave you a rather awful look before you stepped in. None of the other compartments are open. "Do you mind if I sit here?" you ask. He looks up at you, at all your fine features, and sighs. "Fine. But only if you leave in an hour to find a new compartment." His hand seemed shaky, with a few rings on it. They looked really nice. You watched as The silver rings reflected the light from the window. He got mad at the constant light and the buzzing noises coming from the open window, walked over to it and shut it and closed the blinds bluntly. He said, "I want to take a nap. It's too bloody early for this. I don't want to go back to that bloody school." He walks up to the compartment doors and shuts them, closing the blinds on the glass doors too. It's just you and him in the compartment. It's all dark. He lays down on the other side of the compartment on the seat and starts to doze off almost instantly, disregarding the fact that you're also in the compartment with him. Seems like a good time to take a nap too, because of the fact that it was dark out already and all the windows and glass were closed and the blinds were drawn. It was dark in the compartment like it was outside. It only seemed right. You lie down uncomfortably before the rest of the thing opens and you almost fall off the edge into the middle of the compartment. You sturdy yourself as you see that both of the compartments had laid out to make it more room for you to sleep. It's almost like it was meant to be. It was so comfortable to lay on that bed. It was squishy. You feel your body sink into the bed, and you feel the tenderness of your side as it seems to melt away. You're facing Draco in front of you. He looks asleep. You think to yourself. You try to sleep. All you can think about is how rude he was to you and how bluntly he had told you that you had to leave. Eventually you doze off, see nothing but darkness. Hours passed as you were asleep, and suddenly you wake up. You see Draco right next to you on the compartment bed. He was originally all the way across the compartment on the other bed, but now he was right next to you. You breathe tightly, small gasps of air, and you turn over to face him. His arm is around your waist, but only one, and he seems like very asleep, like he had drifted off very far. You tap his shoulder and move back a bit. His eyes jerk up as a blush forms over his face. He looks down at his arm and moves it instantly. What the bloody hell? Are you trying to seduce me? He asks. You almost burst out laughing. It seems to be like the opposite, you suggest. He grunts in disbelief. I'm not doing anything to you, mudblood. You give him a confused look. What's a mudblood? You ask, but he just scoffs and turns his head. You check the time and it had been well over 3 hours. It was a 7-hour trip, and you had 4 remaining, so you start grabbing your things as if you were gonna leave. He stops you. You've already been here for 3 hours, so you might as well stay. Everyone else is either changing or asleep by now. What do you mean changing? You ask. He bursts out laughing. Well, you know, we have
Maybe
school
even
clothes.
more.
And don't you still need to be sorted since you haven't been here the past 5 years?
Deep.
What's your name anyways?
Now I want you to close
You look
the eyes
confused.
tightly if you haven't
It had
already
seemed like you
fallen
had been confused this entire
asleep.
trip.
Music.
What's my name, you ask? You
Imagine
stuttered.
how much
Is it
you
really
won't
that hard
after
to
you
think of your
got
name?
thrown into his lap.
He was
And
very
watched
blunt and
soft
rude
and everything.
almost all the time, but you'd
Just
almost
the way
gotten
you
used to
like
it, and it had only been 3 hours, which 30
Read
minutes of
stories
it had you been awake.
until
My name,
you reach a point
you start,
where you're
you tell him
walking
your
down the
name,
hallway to your new dorm.
and he smiles.
Now
That's a
that
very
you've
pretty name,
reached
actually.
your new dorm,
Not too bad for a mudblood.
you open the door and
You look at him. What's
it's a
a
dark
mudblood?
room, nothing like a dorm.
He sighs.
You walk in and suddenly
You're ready
you're
for
falling,
a giant explanation of what a mudblood could be. Was it a magical animal?
Empty time space.
Or was it an
A
insult?
room that's
You start to
like the
wonder and
darkness
picture
full of
things that you had never seen before, like a dog with a unicorn
Listen to the
horn
music
and pig
as you fall
hooves.
asleep
Maybe that's a
and
mudblood.
wake up
Pigs like mud.
where you want. And
Or maybe it's a werewolf breed that only
You
likes
can
to
shift.
eat brown
You
blood.
got this. You're already there.
You overthink things often, and right now you had been doing it again.
I'll see you
He looks
tomorrow
at you
morning.
as you look like you had drifted off
Bye.
into a different universe. A mudblood is a muggle-born? And before you ask me what a muggle is, it's a non-magical being, like a regular human. He had already known that you were gonna ask what a muggle was. You were new to all this. He looks up at you with his eyes sparkling. He says your name in a deep voice. For clearing his throat. Can I just call you darling? It's so much easier than your name. He smirks. You look down at him, and now you're the one trying to seduce me. Please. Well, can I call you that or not? He gets irritated very quickly. You just nod and sit back in your seat. Before you realized what was going on, he had started to unbutton his shirt. Your eyes get big and watery as you see his chiseled body. It's not that you were admiring it, but rather were shocked that he was getting undressed in front of you. What? He asks. I have to get changed, so turn around. You turn around obediently, facing the other side of the compartment, the wall. You sit awkwardly on the seat, trying not to turn around. Are you done yet? You ask. You didn't get a reply, so you just kept staring at that wall. The colors were melting into your eyes as if it was the only thing you were going to see for days. I'm done. You can turn around now. You slowly turn around with your eyes closed, not trusting that he was fully dressed. After a few minutes, you open your eyes, and he's trying not to laugh. Why didn't you just go to the bathroom like a normal human being? I'm pretty sure trains have bathrooms, especially for a 7-hour trip. You say sarcastically. He looks over at you. You had just been so nervous the entire trip. He didn't expect the sarcasm from you. You didn't expect the sarcasm to come from you either. You didn't realize how comfortable you were with him yet. It had only been 3 or 4 hours by this point. You yawn as you're still tired, and you sit over next to him. What do you think you're doing? He looks at you, but he's still smiling. It's dark in the room and you can barely see. Before you knew it, your head had leaned on his shoulder. He took a few minutes to analyze what you were doing before he turned around and saw that you were asleep. He caught your head before it fell all the way down to the seat and pulled you into a hug. He laid your head on his shoulder and let you sleep peacefully. He was being very sweet, but you weren't awake to notice this behavior. After a few minutes, he woke up suddenly again. This time he looked down at you with big eyes. Sorry, you just fell asleep, that's all, he said before letting go of you in hug motion. You were nervous again, butterflies erupting down in your stomach. A blush formed over your cheeks. You smile and just hug his waist tightly, pinning yourself to him. He twitched in shock before looking down at you and hugged you back. Why were you being such a what? He asks. Well, you know, an a-hole in the beginning. He sighs. He goes, I don't get comfortable with people very easily. People don't like me because I don't like people. Half the time, I wouldn't be talking to a mudblood. You started laughing. What's so offensive about being called a mudblood? That's like calling someone a noob. He looks at you, concerned. What the heck is a noob? You laugh. It's a very similar insult in the Muggle world. That's right, Muggle. Well, humans call unexperienced people a noob. People who just are bad at something, I guess. It's a very stupid insult if you ask me. You chuckle slightly before holding on to his waist tighter. He looks down at you. Don't you need to get changed? He asks. You realize that you're still in the muddy clothes from earlier. The one that you had almost run into a conductor of a human train in. They weren't that bad, but you needed to wear your school uniform. You stood up, letting go of the hug that you wanted to last forever.